Before we unveil the divine blueprint, remember one thing. The true structure of heaven is a secret not meant for mortal minds. This celestial hierarchy, a ladder of awesome power, isn't just myth. It's a code encrypted within the world's most ancient and forbidden scriptures. And here is the most astonishing part: what these texts reveal about the highest angelic orders is a truth so profound it has forced scholars to question the very nature of reality. So make sure you watch this video until the very end. Let's begin. Look up on a clear, moonless night, and you are participating in the oldest ritual of humanity. It is a gesture that transcends time and culture. In the silent, velvet dark, our ancestors saw more than just scattered points of light. They saw a story, a promise, a destination. They felt the pull of an ancient longing, a deep and resonant ache for a home they had never known, yet somehow remembered. From the sun-drenched banks of the Nile to the wind-swept plains of Mesopotamia, from the philosophical groves of Athens to the shamanic circles of the Americas, humanity has gazed into the celestial ocean and felt it was gazing back. In its depths, we have always sought the face of the divine and the faint, shimmering outlines of those who serve it. This realm was never imagined as simply an empty expanse. It was a place, a dimension with its own geography, its own architecture. But was this divine kingdom a single, unified plane of light, or something far more complex, more structured? In nearly every foundational mythology, we find a belief in a tiered cosmos, a great ladder of worlds, a cosmic mountain with multiple peaks, or a series of concentric spheres, each one more refined, more sacred than the one below. This was heaven not as a destination, but as a journey upward, a celestial map, charting a course from the mud and soil of earthly existence to a summit of pure being, a place of ultimate truth and blinding light. Before these maps were ever drawn in ink or carved in stone, they were whispered. They were carried in oral traditions, chanted by priests, and dreamed by mystics. These were the first whispers of the beyond, the primordial tales that gave voice to the beings who populated this divine landscape. They were described not as gods, but as their extensions, their will made manifest, beings of living fire, intelligences born of starlight, guardians of cosmic law, and messengers who moved with the speed of thought. They were the original cosmic symphony, each with a note to play in the grand music of creation. Yet, this celestial kingdom, for all its splendor, remained tantalizingly out of reach. A profound separation was understood to exist between our world and theirs. A veil. For some, it was a curtain of cloud and sky. For others, a chasm of fire, a river of souls, or simply the unbridgeable gap between the mortal and the immortal. This veil defined our reality. It was the boundary that gave life its precious, fleeting urgency, and the heavens their sacred, eternal mystery. But a boundary is also a frontier, a place to be crossed. And from the very beginning, it was believed that certain beings were given the privilege, the power, to traverse this divide. They were the bridge, the living connection between the Creator and the created. They were, and are, the angels. They are the key to understanding this celestial architecture, for they are its citizens, its builders, and its guardians. To know them is to know the very structure of the heavens. But if heaven is a kingdom, it must have a court. If it is a cosmos, it must have an order. So, who were the first beings to spring from the divine light, the architects and guardians of this celestial blueprint? What is the nature of the first and most powerful of these celestial beings, those who stand in the very throne room of the divine, and what secrets do they keep? Imagine a silence so profound it contains all sound, a darkness so complete it holds all light. In this realm before creation, before the first atom was formed, the universe was a thought in the divine mind. And it was here, not from dust or water, but from pure will, that the first consciousnesses were brought into being. They were not born, they were uttered. A divine word, a spark from the eternal flame, a ripple in the sea of absolute being. These were the angels, the firstborn of creation. But from what celestial substance were they forged? The ancient scriptures, struggling to describe the indescribable, speak in metaphor. In Islamic tradition, they are born of Nur, a divine, smokeless light. The Zohar, a foundational text of Jewish mysticism, describes them as direct emanations, streams of conscious energy flowing from the infinite. In Christian Apocrypha, they are spirits, woven from the very breath of God. They are beings of living energy, pure intellect, and unyielding will, unbound by the physical laws that would later govern the material world. Their bodies are light, their thoughts are motion, and their existence is a testament to a reality far grander than our own, unlike humanity, which would be sculpted from the earth. The angels were fashioned from the very essence of heaven itself. They were not created for idleness. Their genesis was intrinsically linked to their divine purpose. In nearly every foundational cosmology, the first duty of the angelic host is to witness and to praise. They were the first audience for the unfolding miracle of creation. Their first breath was a song. Their first sight was the face of their Creator. And their first act was one of joyous, thunderous adoration. This cosmic chorus was their primary function, to reflect the divine glory, to power the celestial spheres with their hymns, and to serve as the living court of the King of the universe. They were the original guardians, the celestial administrators tasked with overseeing the grand blueprint of reality, ensuring that the laws of nature and the flow of divine energy remained in perfect, unbroken harmony. The first command they received was not a task to be completed, but a state of being to embody. They were to maintain the sacred order, to act as conduits for divine will, and to exist in a state of perpetual, blissful communion. This was their identity. They were the gears of the cosmos, the sentinels of sacred law, Ks, the gardeners of the stars. This story of primordial spirit beings, quote, is a thread woven through the spiritual tapestry of our world. Long before the Abrahamic traditions, Zoroastrianism spoke of the Azatas and the Fravasai celestial beings and guardian spirits who aid the Supreme Creator. Ahura Mazda, in his cosmic struggle against the forces of darkness, they too were divine agents, protectors of the natural world and personifications of moral virtues. The mythologies of ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt are filled with winged messengers and divine intermediaries, beings who traverse the veil between the gods and mortals. The names and forms change, but the fundamental truth echoes across civilizations. Before us, there were others, the firstborn, whose existence was intertwined with the very birth of the cosmos. They were created perfect, their wills a flawless extension of the divine, a vast, unified consciousness of praise and service. But creation's story was not yet complete. In this perfect, harmonious kingdom of light, a new being was about to be conceived, a fragile, finite creature of flesh and soil, yet one destined for unimaginable glory. And with its creation would come a new command, a test that would fracture the celestial unity forever. What happens when beings of pure fire, who have known only the face of God, are asked to bow before a creature of mere clay? For millennia, humanity saw the court of heaven as a mystery veiled in blinding light. Then, in the 5th century, a manuscript appeared that would change everything. A text that claimed to be a direct revelation, a blueprint of the divine architecture itself, penned by a mystic writing under the name Dionysius the Areopagite. This work, on the celestial hierarchy, became the definitive guide to the cosmos. It was here that the celestial court was given its final, breathtaking structure, a precise and intricate order of 9 angelic choirs, organized into 3 distinct spheres, or triads. This wasn't just a list. It was a map of divine power, a ladder of beings stretching from the throne of God down to the very mud of our mortal world. The design is one of perfect, cascading harmony. The first sphere, the triad closest to the divine, exists in a state of perpetual adoration, bathed in the unmediated glory of the Creator. They are beings of pure spirit and fire, whose very existence is a hymn of praise. Below them, the second sphere acts as the celestial governors. They are the princes and powers of the universe, translating the immediate will of God into the laws that govern creation, managing the movements of stars and the fates of nations. Finally, the third sphere serves as the divine messengers, the sacred agents who interact directly with the human world. They are the guardians, the archangels, and the angels of our stories, the celestial hands that reach across the veil. But why such a complex system? Why the need for intermediaries at all? The answer lies in a concept as profound as it is beautiful: divine emanation. In this cosmic model, the infinite, incomprehensible power of the Creator cannot be received directly by lesser beings. It would be like trying to drink from a star. The hierarchy acts as a divine filter, a series of lenses. The light and wisdom of God flow downward, from the highest choir to the next, and with each step, that blinding energy is refined, translated, made comprehensible for the sphere below. Each angelic order illuminates the one beneath it, passing on a purer, more distilled version of the divine truth they themselves have received. It is a system built not for control, but for communion. This celestial blueprint didn't remain a secret of theologians and mystics. It saturated the imagination of the Western world, etching its design onto the very soul of civilization. Its triadic structure was mirrored in the soaring arches of Gothic cathedrals. Its choirs were painted into the domes of basilicas, and its grand drama was written into the verses of Dante and Milton. Even our own earthly hierarchies, from the courts of kings to the structures of armies, are faint, mortal echoes of this perceived divine order. It gave humanity a sense of place, a belief that the universe was not a chaotic void, but a perfectly ordered, meaningful cosmos, governed by intelligence. And yet, this vision of a structured heaven is not unique. Across the world, we find echoes of this same divine impulse to order. In the Vedic scriptures of ancient India, the realms of the Devas are meticulously organized. In Zoroastrianism, the 7 Amesha form a divine council around the Supreme Creator. It seems to be a fundamental human intuition that the divine is not chaos, but a symphony. And if it is a symphony, then the most powerful notes must be played by the musicians who stand closest to the conductor. We must now turn our gaze upward, to the highest echelon, the first sphere itself, the beings who stand in the very throne room of God. What does it mean to be an angel of pure fire and love? And what secrets are whispered in the eternal light by the Seraphim, the Cherubim, and the thrones? To approach the throne of the Absolute is to witness the dissolution of all you know. Here, at the very singularity of creation, there is no up or down, no before or after. There is only the blinding, self-aware ocean of being. and orbiting this ineffable center, existing in a state of perpetual, blissful ignition, is the first and highest choir of the celestial hierarchy, the Seraphim. Their name itself is a searing revelation. From the Hebrew root seraph, it means simply the burning ones. They are not beings who are near the fire of the divine. They are that fire made manifest. They are consciousnesses of pure light and ardor, beings of such radiant intensity that for a mortal mind to even conceive of them is to be scorched by an overwhelming wave of divine love. The prophet Isaiah granted a terrifying and holy glimpse into the celestial court, saw them as beings of living flame, each possessing 6 wings that hummed with cosmic purpose. With 2 wings, they veiled their faces, a gesture of profound humility, for not even they can gaze directly upon the full, unmediated glory of the source from which they spring. With 2, they covered their feet, a symbol of their eternal separation from any lesser, profane ground, for they touch nothing but the divine. And with 2, they flew, suspended in an everlasting dance of adoration. Their movement, the very pulse of the cosmos, forever circling the unmoving center. If you could quiet the entire universe and listen, you would hear their eternal chorus. From their fiery essences issues a sound, a vibration that underpins all of existence. It is the Trisayan, the thrice holy chant, Kadosh, Kadosh. Holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. This is not mere praise or song as we know it. It is an act of cosmic maintenance. This unending resonant frequency is what holds the galaxies in their intricate dance. What keeps the fundamental laws of reality from unraveling into chaos? It is the music of divine order, sung by its most passionate and intimate custodians. But their fire is not only for adoration, it is a consuming fire of purification. It was a seraph that descended to Isaiah, taking a burning coal from the celestial altar and touching it to the prophet's lips. This was not a punishment, but a terrible and necessary gift. It was an act of cauterizing grace, burning away the mortal impurity, the ego, the fear, so that he could become a pure vessel, able to speak divine truth without being shattered by it. The Seraphim, in their burning love, are the agents who prepare a soul to withstand the unbearable weight of revelation. They cleanse with a fire that doesn't just destroy, but transfigures than the vast traditions of mysticism. The fire of the Seraphim is understood as the ultimate expression of divine love, love so absolute, so fervent, it is indistinguishable from pure knowledge. They do not learn about God through scripture or reason. They are a direct, unceasing, participatory experience of God's essence. Their entire existence is a state of self-annihilation in the blissful furnace of the divine will. For the mystic, the seraph is therefore the ultimate symbol of spiritual ascent, the final alchemy of the soul, where the heavy lead of the self is transformed into the radiant gold of pure, selfless adoration. To achieve the seraphic state is to love so completely that nothing remains of the lover, only the love itself. This is the nature of the first and most powerful of all angels. They are not warriors or messengers in the common sense. They are the guardians of divine love, the living, beating heart of heaven. But if the Seraphim are the burning heart of the divine court, an expression of pure, unmediated love and adoration, what then of its mind? If their fire purifies, what celestial intelligence is tasked with guarding the profound, complex, and dangerous secrets of creation itself? From the blinding, unseeable fire of divine love, we descend one step down the celestial ladder. Here, the raw energy of creation begins to take on form, structure, and a profound, ancient intelligence. We enter the sphere of the cherubim. Their first appearance in the sacred narrative is not one of gentle welcome, but of stern finality. After humanity is exiled from paradise, it is the cherubim who are placed at the east of the Garden of Eden, and with them, a flaming sword, turning every way, to guard the path to the tree of life. They are not messengers. They are sentinels. Their purpose is not to communicate, but to prevent. They are the original guardians of a sacred threshold, a living wall between humanity and a knowledge it was no longer worthy to possess. But to truly comprehend a cherub, we must leave the quiet garden and journey into the prophetic tempest of Ezekiel's vision. Standing by a river in Babylon, the prophet sees a storm wind from the north, a great cloud with flashing fire, and from its midst the likeness of 4 living creatures. Each had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, their feet like a calf's, gleaming like burnished bronze. They had the face of a man, the face of a lion on the right side, the face of an ox on the left, and the face of an eagle. Their entire bodies, their backs, their hands, and their wings were full of eyes all around. The sound of their wings was like the sound of mighty waters, like the thunder of the almighty dot. It was no mere monster. It was a living symbol of a perfected creation, a mobile throne for the divine itself. The 4 faces represent the 4 corners of the earthly kingdom: humanity for wisdom, the lion for dominion, the ox for strength, and the eagle for sovereignty of the air. The countless eyes represent a perception that transcends space and time, an all-knowing, all-seeing consciousness. This is the Merkaba, the divine chariot, a living vehicle of cosmic power, steered not by will, but by the very Spirit of God. For the cherubim are not just guardians of places, they are guardians of knowledge. They are the keepers of celestial records, the living memory of the cosmos. They understand the divine blueprint, the intricate patterns and sacred mathematics that underpin all of reality. They stand watch over truths so potent, so fundamental, that to gaze upon them unprepared would shatter the mortal mind. They are the reason some secrets remain secret. This role as guardian is etched in gold upon history's most sacred relic, the Ark of the Covenant. Upon its lid, the mercy seat, 2 cherubim were commanded to be hammered from pure gold, facing each other, their wings outstretched, shielding the holy space where the very presence of God was said to dwell. Here again, they are the protectors, the boundary between the sacred and the profane. And yet, in a strange twist of cultural memory, how has this fearsome, 4-faced, all-seeing guardian of cosmic law come down to us? Look upon the art of the Renaissance, and you will find them, not as terrifying sentinels, but as chubby, winged infants with rosy cheeks. The putti, the cherubs, a sanitized, domesticated version of a being whose true form would inspire profound, earth-shaking awe. This transformation reveals more about our desire to soften the divine than it does about the angels themselves. We have traded the guardian of forbidden wisdom for a harmless decoration. The cherubim stand as a living boundary, protecting the sacred blueprints of creation and the wisdom of the divine. But if they are the keepers of the law, who are the enforcers of its immutable decrees, what happens when cosmic order is challenged? We now ascend to the sphere of the living symbols of divine justice and stability. The celestial beings known simply as the Thrones prepare to witness a form of angel that defies all familiar description. If the Seraphim are the pure fire of divine love, and the cherubim the profound guardians of divine wisdom, then the third order of the highest choir is the very execution of divine will. They are the living embodiment of God's unshakable judgment. They are the thrones. But cast from your mind any image of a golden seat or an ornate chair. These beings are not seated upon the thrones of heaven. In many ancient texts, they are the throne. The prophet Ezekiel, in his staggering vision, described them not as winged men, but as something far more alien, more primal, great, fiery wheels, spinning with impossible speed. Their rims covered with a multitude of unblinking eyes. They are the Apanim, the many-eyed ones, the celestial chariots that bear the very presence of the Almighty. Each eye is a window into a different aspect of reality, seeing all deeds, all thoughts, all consequences across the tapestry of time. They miss nothing. They are the ceaseless, ever-watchful instruments of cosmic order. The circle is the ancient symbol of totality, of perfection and eternity. A wheel is a circle set in motion. The thrones, therefore, represent divine power, not as a static concept, but as an active, dynamic force in the universe. They are the motion of justice itself, turning, always turning, ensuring that the fundamental laws of creation are upheld. They are the foundation of cosmic stability, the bearers of the divine authority upon which all of reality rests. Their existence ensures that the universe does not collapse into chaos. Their role is not to interact directly with humanity. They exist on a plane of reality so elevated, so pure. Their purpose is to mediate the divine will to the lower orders of angels. They receive the perfect judgment from the mind of God and transmit it downward, a cascade of divine decree that will eventually shape the destinies of stars and of souls. The justice they dispense is not one of anger or retribution. It is the justice of balance, of universal harmony. It is the force that realigns what has been broken, that rights what has been wronged, and that maintains the structural integrity of the cosmos. Here lies a profound paradox. These beings, these blazing chariots of God, are among the most powerful entities in creation. Yet, they are defined by their complete and utter humility. A throne is meant to be sat upon. It is a symbol of service, of bearing a weight greater than itself. The thrones have no will of their own, no ambition, no ego. Their entire being is devoted to one purpose, to be the steadfast, unmoving vessel for the divine will. In their fiery motion is perfect stillness. In their immense power is perfect submission. This celestial concept casts a long shadow onto the mortal world. For millennia, earthly kings and emperors sought to model their own rule on this divine archetype. The idea of a king's throne as a sacred object, of kingship as a divine right, stems directly from this angelic hierarchy. An earthly ruler was meant to be a reflection of the celestial thrones, a bastion of justice, a source of stability, and a humble servant to a law higher than himself. The throne on earth was meant to be the anchor for divine justice in the world of men, a pale but potent echo of the fiery wheels that turn at the heart of creation. The Seraphim, the Cherubim, and the thrones form the first and highest sphere, a triad of angels who exist in the unfiltered, unmediated presence of the divine, concerned only with the nature of God himself. But what of the rest of creation? How is this incandescent power, this perfect wisdom, and this absolute justice administered to the universe at large? A realm governed not by force, but by a perfect, harmonious will. Beyond the blinding fire of the Seraphim, past the all-seeing eyes of the Cherubim, and descending from the sublime stillness of the thrones, we cross a conceptual threshold. We move from the realm of pure, unmediated contemplation of the divine into the sphere of cosmic governance. Here, in this exalted position as the highest order of the second angelic triad, we encounter the celestial regents, known as the dominions. They are the divine administrators, the heavenly governors tasked with the awesome responsibility of managing the universe. Their very name, from the Latin dominatio, means lordship. They are the first link in the divine chain of command that extends from the mind of God to the physical manifestation of reality. But their lordship is not one of direct intervention. The dominions do not personally move the stars or shape the nebulae. Instead, they are the great delegators. They receive the pure, conceptual will of God, as perceived through the highest triad, and translated into specific orders and missions for the angelic orders beneath them. They are the ultimate mediators, ensuring that the divine blueprint for creation is understood and distributed throughout the lower hierarchies, who will then carry it out. They are the architects who hand the plans to the builders, in the visions of mystics and the art of the masters. They are rarely depicted with swords of war. Their authority is of a different kind. Instead, they are shown bearing the emblems of sublime and rightful sovereignty, a golden scepter in one hand, and in the other, the orb of creation, a sphere often topped with a cross, symbolizing the entire material cosmos held in perfect balance under God's authority. These are not symbols of conquest, but of stewardship. They represent a leadership that is absolute yet entirely benevolent, a power that seeks not to control, but to organize and liberate. Their essential function is the maintenance of cosmic order. The dominions preside over the very laws that hold reality together, from the graceful spin of a distant galaxy to the intricate dance of particles within an atom. They are the guarantors that the sun will rise, that gravity will hold, that time will flow forward. They ensure the grand celestial symphony plays in tune, without a single discordant note. The ancient texts suggest the latter. Theirs is a leadership rooted in divine love. They govern not to subjugate creation, but to allow it to achieve its highest purpose. They are the Lords of Liberty, a title that seems paradoxical until we understand that true freedom can only exist within a framework of perfect, divine order. The dominions, in their majestic serenity, ensure the cosmic machine runs smoothly. They are the masters of the divine plan, the calm at the center of creation's storm. But creation is not always compliant. There are forces of chaos, dissonant chords that threaten the celestial harmony. When the order established by the dominions is directly challenged, when a line must be drawn between the divine will and an encroaching darkness, a different kind of angelic power is required for the divine blueprint to become reality. For cosmic law to be more than a silent decree, it requires an engine. An unimaginable force must be harnessed to translate celestial will into physical manifestation. This is the domain of the fifth order in the heavenly host, a choir whose very name speaks of strength and valor. They are the Malachim, the messengers of God, known to us as the virtues. They are not simply couriers. They are living conduits. Imagine them as great celestial transformers, stepping down the infinite, blinding energy of the Godhead into forms the material universe can withstand. They are the arteries through which divine grace flows, nourishing the very fabric of creation. And when this torrent of grace is focused, it's when it is directed into a single point in space and time. The laws of nature momentarily bend. The immutable becomes mutable. This is what mortals call a miracle. The virtues are the bearers of this awesome force. They are the engineers of the impossible. But their work is not limited to spectacular, world-altering interventions. In ancient theological maps of the cosmos, the virtues are described as the guardians of the natural order itself. They are the celestial intelligences, charged with governing the movements of the stars, the turning of the seasons, and the very rhythm of universal law. Every sunrise, every turning tide, every seed that breaks through the soil is a quiet, sustained miracle, a testament to the constant, harmonious labor of the virtues. They are the unseen hands that orchestrate the great, silent symphony of existence, ensuring that the music of the spheres never falls into discord. A sudden surge of strength when all was lost. A flash of inspiration that changes the course of a life. Mystics throughout history suggest this is the touch of a virtue, a direct infusion of divine energy. A gift of grace bestowed upon a soul in a moment of profound need. They are the healers of the incurable, the invigorators of the weary, silent champions of the human spirit when it dares to reach for the sublime. They don't just deliver messages of hope, they deliver the very power needed to enact it. They embody the raw, dynamic energy of the Creator, the divine strength that makes all things possible. It is through their agency that legends speak of seas being parted, celestial bodies halting in their course, of water transformed into wine. They are the authors of the great signs and wonders that punctuate sacred history, spectacular displays designed not to break creation, but to reveal the limitless power that sustains it from moment to moment. The virtues, then, are the keepers of cosmic stability and the agents of divine grace. They pour forth the power that builds, heals, and maintains creation according to the will passed down from the celestial throne. What angelic force is tasked not with channeling grace, but with confronting the encroaching chaos and holding the line against the forces of cosmic discord? In every great story of light, there is a shadow. For every act of creation, a whisper of destruction. If the cosmos is a divine symphony, then there are those who seek to introduce discord, to unravel the melody into chaos. This is the eternal truth of existence. Order is not a passive state. It must be defended. For as long as there has been a celestial kingdom, there has been a war to protect Eton unseen. Unceasing conflict fought on the very frontiers of reality. This is the domain of the Sixth Order, the celestial warriors known as the Powers. Their name in ancient texts, potentates, speaks of a formidable, authoritative strength. They are not architects or governors. They are heaven's divine army, its first and last line of defense against the forces of darkness, where the virtues maintain the physical laws of the universe. The Powers enforce the spiritual laws, standing as a bulwark against all that would corrupt and defile creation. They are the immune system of the cosmos, tasked with seeking out and neutralizing spiritual contagion before it can spread. Their battlefield is the most treacherous in all of creation, the borderlands. Not a physical place, but the liminal space between the material and the ethereal, the sacred and the profane. They are the vigilant sentinels who patrol the veil that separates our world from the lower realms. They are the unseen guardians who stand at the fragile crossroads of existence, ensuring that the path of divine energy and grace remains clear and protected from malevolent influence. This cosmic struggle is not a distant, abstract affair. The Powers are said to be intimately involved in the battle for the human soul. Every temptation, every whisper of despair, every intrusive thought that seeks to lead humanity astray is seen as a skirmish in this greater war. The Powers are the angelic legion that counteracts these assaults, reinforcing our spiritual will, shielding our conscience, and fighting on our behalf in a conflict most of us never even perceive. They are the divine response to the forces that seek to enslave and diminish the human spirit. Ancient art and mystic visions depict them in a form befitting their solemn duty as the armored hosts of heaven. They are imagined as brilliant figures, clad not in metal, but in solidified light. Their shields are said to be forged from pure faith, their swords from the very will of the divine. They are the embodiment of righteous power and holy discipline, the perfect soldiers in a war where the stakes are eternity itself. They do not fight with rage or hatred, but with a serene and absolute resolve, a complete dedication to the preservation of cosmic law and divine love. They are the living representation of the idea that good is not passive or weak, but is an active, formidable, and ultimately triumphant force. They are the promise that no matter how deep the shadow, the light will always have its champions. From the cosmic laws that bind the galaxies, Taze, the angelic gaze now turns downward to a different kind of cosmos, the turbulent, beautiful, and chaotic world of humanity. The grand tapestry of civilization, with its empires, its cultures, its epic struggles and triumphs, is not an accident of history. It too has its celestial architects, its unseen shepherds, here, in the sphere closest to mankind. We encounter the angels who are most intimately involved with the destiny of entire peoples. They are the seventh order, the principalities. Their charge is not a single star, nor an individual soul, but a nation, a city, a culture. They are the spiritual patrons of kingdoms, the celestial overseers of human collectives. Ancient lore teaches that every nation, from the smallest tribe to the mightiest empire, is assigned a principality to guide its development and protect its unique identity. They are the source of a nation's character, the unseen hand that shapes its art, its laws, and its spirit. When a culture blossoms into a golden age of philosophy and discovery, a principality is fanning the embers of genius. When a people find the collective will to build monuments that defy time, a principality is inspiring their vision. But consider this: if there is an angel assigned to protect a nation, what happens when nations go to war? The ancient and forbidden texts give a chilling answer. This single passage rips back the veil, revealing a staggering reality. History, as we know it, is but a shadow of a greater, unseen war. The earth is not merely a stage for human ambition. It is a spiritual battleground. The rise and fall of empires, the clash of ideologies, the struggles for territory, these are the earthly echoes of celestial battles fought by the principalities for the very soul of a people. They are locked in a conflict that mirrors our own, tending the spiritual borders of their assigned territories from rival entities and corrupting influences. The fate of a nation, it seems, is not decided in throne rooms and on battlefields alone, but in the unseen dimensions where these titanic angelic guardians clash. This concept resonates across civilizations. The world over, humanity has felt this presence. The ancient Romans spoke of the genius loci, the protective spirit of a place. The Greeks dedicated their cities to divine patrons who championed their cause. In every culture, we find the belief in a higher being, an angelic figure that watches over the destiny of a tribe, a community, a nation. These are the principalities, known by 1,000 different names, but united in their purpose to foster and defend the unique cultural and spiritual identity of their people, nurturing the sacred flame of what makes them who they are. They are the governors, the spiritual diplomats, and the frontline commanders in the celestial war for the heart of humanity. But in a war of such cosmic consequence, governors and soldiers must answer to a higher authority, a trait to those who command the very legions of heaven. So, if principalities are the celestial princes waging spiritual war over the destiny of mankind, who are their generals? Who are the supreme commanders that stand as the 7 great luminaries before the throne? The ones whose very names have echoed through history as warriors, messengers, and bringers of divine revelation. In any great war, there must be generals. field commanders who understand the grand strategy but are not afraid to enter the fray. Beings of immense power who can carry a message that will change the fate of an empire, or wield a sword that can cast down a star. If the principalities are the celestial viceroys governing the spiritual destiny of nations, then the eighth choir, the archangels, are heaven's supreme commanders and most trusted emissaries. Their names are not just titles, they are legends, etched into the very fabric of human history. When the first and most terrible rebellion sundered the unity of heaven, when the brightest of all angels sought to usurp the celestial throne, it was not a committee or a council that met him. It was a single, blazing figure, a commander who rose from the loyalist ranks, his sword a pillar of divine fire, his voice a thunderous challenge that echoed through the fracturing cosmos. His name was a war cry, MKHL, who is like God. This is Michael, the great archangel, the general of the celestial host. He is the ultimate warrior, the divine champion who cast the great dragon from the heavens. In every tradition, he is the protector, the defender of souls, the implacable enemy of darkness, and the guardian who weighs our deeds in the final balance. He is the raw, righteous power of heaven made manifest, but not all of God's messages are delivered by the sword. Some are whispers that change the course of destiny forever. For this, there is another. His name is Gabriel. God is my strength. He is the celestial herald, the keeper of divine mysteries, and the chosen messenger for God's most profound revelations. It was Gabriel who explained the prophetic visions to Daniel, charting the rise and fall of future empires. And it was Gabriel who descended into a quiet home in Nazareth to deliver the most world-altering news in history to a young woman named Mary. He is not a warrior of the battlefield, but a warrior of truth. His presence signifies a turning point, a moment when the will of heaven intersects directly with the timeline of humanity, irrevocably changing its future. Where Michael brings divine power and Gabriel brings divine truth, a third great archangel brings divine restoration. He is Raphael, a name that means God heals. While the others appear in moments of cosmic conflict and prophetic revelation, Raphael's story is one of profound, personal intervention. Have you ever felt guided on a long journey, protected from unseen dangers, or experienced a healing that defied explanation? In the ancient book of Tobit, it is Raphael who travels in disguise alongside a young man, guiding him, protecting him from a demon, and ultimately providing the cure that restores his father's sight. He is the angel of journeys, the divine physician, the compassionate companion who walks with us through our darkest valleys, bringing solace, knowledge, and the gentle, miraculous touch of divine grace. And then there is the fourth, a more mysterious and shadowed figure, Uriel, the light of God. Mentioned in esoteric texts, he is the angel of wisdom and illumination, the keeper of the sacred flame of knowledge. Uriel is the regent of the sun, the one who brings light to the world. But he is also the angel of repentance, the stern but necessary guide who reveals the consequences of our actions. He is the archangel of the intellect, the one who dispels the darkness of ignorance with the lightning flash of understanding. Michael is heaven's sword, Gabriel its voice, Raphael its hand, but Uriel is its mind, a profound and searching light in the deep places of the cosmos. These are the archangels, not just characters in ancient stories, but the personification of divine action in the world. They are the generals who lead the charge, the messengers who deliver the verdict, the healers who mend the broken, and the sages who illuminate the path. They are the last line of the celestial governors, the direct bridge to humanity. But if the archangels are the generals, who are the soldiers in their celestial armies, who are the countless, nameless guardians that populate the lowest and final choir, the ones tasked with the most intimate and personal of all divine missions, the direct protection of a single human soul. From the thunderous pronouncements of the archangels, which shake the foundations of the world, we now descend to the final celestial choir. Here, the divine gaze narrows from the fate of nations, and even from humanity as a whole, to focus on a single, precious point of light. We have arrived at the ninth and final order, the one closest to our world, the most numerous, and the most intimately involved in the quiet drama of a single human life. They are the heavenly messengers and guides, known to us simply as the angels. They are the foot soldiers of the celestial hierarchy, the direct line of communication between heaven and earth. But their most profound role is also their most personal, across cultures, faiths, and millennia. A belief has persisted with unwavering certainty that every human soul, from the moment of its first breath, is assigned a celestial companion, a guardian. This is not a myth of comfort, but a doctrine of profound spiritual reality. A being of light, whose entire purpose is entwined with your own, walks beside you through every moment of triumph and despair. They are the silent witnesses to your life, the tireless advocates for your soul, and the unseen protectors who stand between you and a dozen unseen dangers. Their presence is woven throughout the sacred texts, not as generals or governors, but as direct agents of the divine will. It is they who appear to shepherds in a field to announce a world-changing birth. It is they who take a righteous man by the hand and lead him from a city doomed to fall. They deliver warnings, offer encouragement, and bring messages that can alter the course of a life in a single instant. They are the divine hands that reach across the veil, not with the fire that purifies a prophet, but with the gentle guidance meant for an ordinary person walking an extraordinary path. But do they only exist in ancient stories? Or do they still move among us, their presence felt but rarely seen? Look into the countless accounts, both historical and contemporary. The soldier on the battlefield who feels a sudden, inexplicable urge to move, just seconds before a shell obliterates the spot where he stood. The driver who hears a clear, calm voice in their mind telling them to brake, avoiding a catastrophic accident. The lonely soul on the brink of despair who finds a sudden, unexplainable warmth and the strength to carry on. These are the whispers of angels, subtle interventions in the fabric of daily life, moments of grace that remind us we are not forgotten, that we are never truly alone. Yet, while they are our guardians, they are also part of the great celestial liturgy. They are the choir that gathers our own faltering prayers, our cries for help, our songs of gratitude, weaves them into the eternal chorus of praise that rises to the divine throne. They stand with one face turned toward us in loving protection, and the other turned toward the blinding light in perpetual adoration. They are the final, vital link, a perfect ladder of divine order, love, and light. But in every story of perfect order, there is the shadow of a great rebellion. What happens when a being from the highest echelons of this divine hierarchy, a being of unimaginable light and power, chooses not to serve, but to rule? What is the true story of the war in heaven, and the birth of a shadow army that stands in eternal opposition to this divine plan? For all this talk of perfect order, of a celestial symphony playing in flawless harmony, a single, terrifying question remains, a question that haunts every sacred text and every human heart. In a universe designed by a perfect being, where did evil come from? The answer, it is said, is not found in some external darkness that crept into creation. It came from a schism within the light itself. It began with the most profound and most perilous gift granted to even the highest of celestial beings: free will before the shadow. There was a light so brilliant it was said to be second only to the Creator. He was known as Lucifer, the light bringer, the morning star. Ancient traditions paint him not as a grotesque monster, but as the pinnacle of angelic creation, a being of unimaginable beauty, wisdom, and power, perhaps a mighty cherub or even a seraph. He stood closer to the throne than almost any other, but in that proximity, a terrible seed was planted. Gazing upon his own perfection, he mistook the reflection for the source. A thought, like a crack running through a perfect crystal, began to form. I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will be like the Most High. It was the birth of pride. It's the ultimate cosmic treason. That single thought of I will against the divine thou art ignited a firestorm. Lucifer was not alone. He drew to his cause a third of the heavenly host, angels who chose the pride of self over the love of their Creator. And for the first and only time in eternity, the unthinkable happened: war in heaven. This was no clash of mortal armies. It was a war of pure will, a cataclysm of light against corrupted light. Legions of seraphic fire met legions of defiant brilliance, and rising to defend the divine throne was the great Archangel, Michael. His name, a battle cry, a question thrown at the rebels: Michael, who is like God? The battle was titanic, but its outcome was never in doubt. For to fight against the source of all power is to be ultimately disconnected from it. Lucifer and his followers were not destroyed, but defeated, overwhelmed, and cast out. It was a fall of unimaginable velocity, from the highest peak of existence down into a newly formed abyss. As they fell, their light was twisted, their nature warped by their rebellion, their beauty curdled into horror, their wisdom into cunning, their power into a thirst for destruction. The morning star became Satan, the adversary. The angels of light became the demons of darkness, and in that moment, evil was given a name and a purpose. The angelic fall is the wound upon creation through which all suffering, chaos, and despair flow. The perfect symphony was broken. The fallen were given a new kingdom, not to rule, but to inhabit the void, the outer darkness, and a sphere of influence that encroaches upon the mortal world. Their new singular purpose became the antithesis of their old one. Instead of serving the divine plan, they seek to sabotage it, and the focal point of that sabotage became God's newest, most beloved creation, humanity. Their choice was absolute, their fall seemingly permanent. The sacred scriptures offer no path of redemption for these celestial beings. Their rebellion was a final, eternal act. This established a terrifying precedent, a line drawn between divine justice and eternal separation. The war that began in heaven was not over. It had simply moved to a new battlefield. So how does this cosmic war manifest on earth? And what are the specific roles of the angels we know best, the archangels, and our own guardian angels in this ongoing, invisible battle for the fate of humanity? We have journeyed through the 9 celestial choirs, from the burning heart of the Seraphim to the celestial princes who govern the fates of nations. But this grand cosmic architecture is not a distant, untouchable reality. It is a system designed for one ultimate purpose: connection. The entire staggering hierarchy of heaven is a ladder, a bridge. It's built to span the chasm between the divine and a single human heart. Look back through the annals of history into the moments that defy rational explanation. A patriarch on the plains of Mama is looking up to see 3 divine strangers who would promise him a son and seal the destiny of a people. A young woman in a quiet village, visited by a luminous being who announces a birth that will split time in two. A shepherdess in France, guided by the voices of archangels to crown a king and save a nation. These are not mere fables. They are the pivot points of history, moments where the veil thinned, and a hand reached through from the celestial court to directly alter the course of human events. In these encounters, the abstract power of the heavenly host becomes terrifyingly, beautifully real. It is through these beings that humanity has been given its most crucial and terrifying gift, a glimpse into the future. Angels have always been the conduits of prophecy. They are the ones who unlocked the cryptic visions of Daniel, laying out the rise and fall of future empires. They are the voice in the wilderness, the interpreters of divine will, translating the silent language of eternity into the words of mortal prophets. They deliver not just warnings, but a roadmap, a complex, often veiled, but ultimately coherent narrative that suggests our chaotic history is not a series of random accidents, but a story being written according to a divine and hidden script. But for every grand history-altering visitation, there are a million silent, unseen interventions. This divine connection is not reserved for prophets and saints alone. It is a constant, subtle presence woven into the fabric of our own lives. Have you ever felt a sudden, inexplicable urge to change your path, only to learn later that you narrowly avoided disaster? A comforting presence in a moment of absolute despair. A whisper of an idea that felt less like a thought and more like a gift. These are the footprints of the lower choirs, the guardian angels, fulfilling their sacred charge. They are the personal emissaries of the divine, the unseen companions on our mortal journey, offering guidance, protection, and a constant, reassuring reminder that we are not alone. The truth, then, is that we walk through a world animated by an unseen war and sustained by an unseen grace. The destiny of our civilization is shaped by the celestial conflicts of the principalities. The very laws of nature are maintained by the tireless work of the virtues. Our spiritual resolve is fortified by the celestial shield of the powers, and our individual lives are touched by the quiet guardianship of angels. We are not merely observers of this cosmic drama. We are its focus. Our journey, with all its triumphs and sorrows, is inextricably linked to the grand design of the heavens. Perhaps our ultimate purpose is not just to be protected by this celestial hierarchy, but to one day understand our own place within it. For in the end, the secrets of heaven are not just about the angels who inhabit it, but about the profound divine potential that lies sleeping within humanity itself. The celestial map has been unfurled. Now, the journey is yours. Look beyond the veil of the ordinary. Listen for the echoes of eternity in your own life, and dare to ask, what role will you play in the great, cosmic story that continues to unfold around us all?